Hello everyone, my name is Ian and you're watching Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and if you're new here and you like this kind of content, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So we are here in beautiful Faenza, Italy, and we are at the press launch, the international press launch for the Ducati Multistrada V4S Grand Tour. So this won't be quite my usual in-depth review, seeing as we're only riding the bikes for about a day and a half, but we do have some beautiful roads to test them on here in a beautiful Emilia Romagna, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that area around Italy, around Bologna, and around the mountains here. So it should be a great test, a good time, and I've never ridden in Italy before, and really enjoying my time here. So just a quick walk around the bike before we sort of get started riding here. So what Ducati's basically done is they've taken the Multistrada V4S and basically thrown everything they can at it in terms of accessories for touring. So standard side cases, they're around 60 liters of capacity. You have standard heated grips, heated seat. You have the front and rear radar, so you've got adaptive cruise control, and you've got blind spot monitoring in the back. You have these LED fog lights. It does retain the 19-inch front wheel from the regular Multistrada and the Rally. Of course, they're cast wheels, not spoke. You can get spokes, I believe, on this. So the interesting things to know about the Grand Tour. So again, basically what they did, they took everything you can do to a Multistrada V4S and they put it on here. Now, the pricing I'll put below. As of this launch, it hasn't been announced yet as of I'm filming this morning, but I'll put it here below because I'm sure by the time this video goes out, we should know the pricing. But what they did say is that this was more affordable to buy this bike and a better value than to buy V4S and try to put all this stuff on it. So again, it's pretty much a fully loaded Multistrada. Now the differences are, so you've got the V4S, which is more the base model. You have the Pikes Peak, which is the sporty model with the 17-inch wheel. Then you have the Rally, which I tested in Colorado, which is taller suspension, bigger tank, slightly different engine, cylinder deactivation, slightly set up more for off-road. And now you have this Grand Tour. They intend the Grand Tour to be the road touring oriented version of the Multistrada. So walking around here, you can see the windshield, it's adjustable, you can see the handguards, see the 19-inch front wheels, street tires. Of course, it's fully electronic suspension, and it's an excellent system. Amazing brakes, as you would expect. Everything is super well finished, as you would expect from the Ducati brand. Looking at the controls, so now the cell phone compartment is here in the center. It's not really big enough for my phone, and that's kind of an issue. Backlit controls, nice handlebar here, the Multistrada logo, big TFT dash, which is an excellent dash. So let's, you can see the blind spot monitors here. So let's go ahead and get started riding. So a couple things as we're riding here. I'm actually, I'm in Italy, so you're going to see kilometers an hour on my dash. And so for once, my European viewers and worldwide viewers are going to have the correct units without me having to convert, so that's kind of fun. And navigating the roundabouts here. We don't really have roundabouts very much in the USA. We have a few, but not commonplace like they are here in Europe. I actually prefer these roundabouts to the traffic lights that we have in the USA. So, you know, riding this Grand Tour version, I mean, if you closed your eyes for a second, well, actually, even riding it, even open your eyes, you wouldn't really know that there's much difference from the regular Multistrada, and frankly, there isn't. They just took the V4S and added all the options to it, made a few other tweaks like the air vents that you can close off, maybe a little bit of extra technology here and there that's kind of trickled down from the rally version, but there's not a whole lot new to talk about. The windshield is not the big windshield that you get on the rally. The wind protection, I've noticed, it's a bit more buffeting, a bit more noise than the rally version had that I just got off of, what, a couple months ago there in Colorado. Also, I have noticed more engine heat on this motorcycle versus the rally, so I guess that cylinder deactivation on that newer version of the engine that the rally has is quite an improvement in terms of the engine heat, especially when you're like sitting and stopped, you know, in traffic or at a stoplight or something like that. The other thing is I wish they would have given us the bigger fuel tank. You know, we'll talk about that towards the end of the video, but I feel like they kind of have this reversed. Like, I kind of want the extended fuel range on my Grand Tour version, and on the off-road version, the rally, I'd kind of like a little bit lighter bike, less top heavy. So I feel like they have that a bit flipped around, but I also kind of get what they're doing. But anyway, it's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I mean, the rest of the bike is, you know, the Multistrada V4 that everybody already loves. It has an incredible engine with incredible power, incredible technology. The handling is sensational. Everything is, it's very comfortable. It works very well. So yeah, we'll get some more miles in and we'll keep talking about this bike. So if you've watched my review of the V4S, the regular V4S or the Rally, you're familiar with some of these specs, but let's go over them just really quickly here. And excuse me for reading off the phone, off the pamphlet, but we just got the information on the bike last night, and it's actually, as I'm filming this, it's still under embargo. Of course, when you see it, obviously the embargo will be lifted. So it's the V4 Gran Turismo engine, really amazing V4 engine. 1158cc, 14:1 compression ratio, 170 horsepower, 125 newton meters of torque. You've got the extended valve clearance intervals, so 60,000 kilometers, which is really great to have, less maintenance. The seat height on this bike is adjustable from 840 to 860 millimeters, so it doesn't have the higher seat height of the Rally, being that the suspension on this bike is the standard height, not the lifted height of the Rally. So people who are a little bit shorter, this is a good option. Let's see, so the fuel tank capacity, so it has the smaller tank. It doesn't have the 30-liter tank from the Rally, so it's a 22-liter or 5.8-gallon tank. It also doesn't have the cylinder deactivation that the Rally and the Diavel have, so the fuel mileage is not quite as good as that. Pair that with the smaller tank, and the fuel range is quite a bit more limited compared to the Rally model. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. You have the 6.5-inch TFT dashboard. You've got all the amazing technology, Ducati Connect, phone compartment we talked about, the quick shifter, power modes, riding modes, wheelie control, traction control, vehicle hold, hill hold control, adaptive cruise control, blind spot. You've got minimum preload setting that lowers the bike when you're going slow. You've got the easy lift feature, so pretty much this is the most technologically advanced model that Ducati makes. It's actually more advanced than their sport bikes like the Panigale. They consider this to be their flagship and where they test all their newest and best technology. So riding this latest generation Multistrada here today in Italy, and by the way, Italy, what an amazing country. I mean, the food, the people, the atmosphere, the weather, wow, it's really phenomenal here. I see why so many people talk about it. You know, I know some of my viewers live here, so let me chime in down below. But the geography and the vegetation and the weather and sort of the olive trees and stuff like that, it kind of reminds me of where I live in Southern California in the USA. I think it's a similar latitude, you know. But anyway, back to the bike. So riding this latest generation, it just reminds me of what the Multistrada has always been known for. I think really since the 1200 came out in around 2011, right? They brought out this bike that had this ultimate combination of sportiness, of like incredible sportiness and handling, but also giving you the comfort for long rides and the technology and all of that. And the V4 just continues to build on that tradition. So the power, the handling, the refinement, the technology, the sportiness of it, it's really sort of everything you can. It's like, how good can we make a motorcycle, right? How far can we push things? And it's very much a Ducati in that sense. You get the passion, the performance, the sportiness, the build, the high build quality and all that kind of stuff, the craftsmanship. And as a downside, you kind of do have to put up with a few things, you know, on this bike. The engine sort of cooks your legs all day in the heat, and the engine doesn't really like to run below about 3,500 RPM. It gets kind of rough. The wind protection is not great. The seat is not all too comfortable compared to some of the other bikes. You know, you have chain drive here, obviously, compared to some of the competitors who are using shafts. So you're going to have to factor all those things in. But as an overall package, the Multistrada is just so hard to beat, you know. It is a premium product, and it commands that premium price tag. You know, we were hitting some bends there pretty fast. I don't even know what the speed limit was, but I know we were not going to speed limit. And you know, this thing, it gives you so much confidence to really push when you want to. And the electronic suspension, the dynamic suspension, is just incredible, the way it reacts to things. And it's soft when you need it to be soft, it's firm when you need it to be firm. Beautiful towns here in Italy. So you have the adjustable windshield here. It's still kind of noisy. I would like a little bit larger one, maybe. So I asked the head of product development, or head of engineering for this bike, I said, why did you decide to go with a 19-inch wheel versus maybe using a 17 like on the Pikes Peak, since this is a road-oriented version? And they said, well, really a couple things. It handles, for the average rider, they're going to feel like the 19-inch wheel handles better because it turns in faster and its transitions a little bit faster, and also it rides better. So it's a little less bumpy and harsh of a ride. It may not have the ultimate performance of the 17 or the ultimate traction for the super sport bike guys, but they said for most people, they felt the 19-inch was just a better package with the ride and handling and all those sorts of things. And that kind of does make sense to me. Now, I also asked, I said, you know, why go with the smaller fuel tank? Why not take the 30-liter tank from the Rally? And they said weight. They didn't want to make this bike too heavy. But that's kind of a strange answer to me, honestly, because the Rally is the off-road version, so they're not worried about weight on that, but they're worried about weight on this. Like, I don't understand. I think they have it reversed. I think this bike needs the bigger fuel tank, and the Rally should have the smaller fuel tank. Woo! God, this motor is just friggin' sensational. Yoo! Oh! Oh my God. That'll wake you up. I'm so jet lagged on this trip because this is 10-hour time difference from where I live, but man, this bike will wake me up. Oh my God. You know, I've just never failed to be impressed by this V4 engine. 170 horsepower. It's the most powerful adventure bike. And man, it sure makes it known. Another aspect of this bike that I don't really quite understand their reasoning is they didn't put the updated engine that they use in the Rally version or the Diavel with the cylinder deactivation. That cylinder deactivation feature is really good because this bike has a real problem with engine heat, and that helps to fix that. Plus, that also gives you better fuel mileage at a steady state cruise because it deactivates 2 of those cylinders. And this bike arguably needs that technology more than any other of the other Multistradas, because this is supposed to be the Grand Tour version. So why not help us out with that fuel range there, especially since they're not giving us the bigger tanks? I really don't understand that decision. I just being honest with you guys, because I know that's what you've come to expect, you know, in my videos. I'm not trying to nitpick this bike too much, but I mean, hey, you know, it's Ducati, it's a very premium product, you pay a lot of money, so I feel like I should point these things out. Also, another thing that I don't like is the phone integration. Pretty much every motorcycle is the same way. They're all bad, like every other bike, not just Ducati, where they want you to plug into the bike or pair to the bike and then have the nav on the screen. They use these proprietary apps and software. They always freeze up. You can never get things to pair. Yesterday, riding on the motorway at night to get to the hotel, most of our bikes in this group, most of the navigation systems froze up and went crazy. And that was after Ducati had set them up for us. So I just don't like that stuff. I think they should just, all these manufacturers need to go to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay like Honda's doing and just get over themselves with this proprietary software that never works correctly and just causes all this frustration. Plus, the cell phone compartment is too small for most of our phones. So what's the point of it anyway? Just things that, again, I want to point out if you're thinking of dropping all this money on this bike. But the mechanical aspects of the bike, the engine, the quick shifter, the handling, all that, the important stuff is top class on this bike, of course. This bike gives me so much confidence to push pretty hard on roads I've never ridden on, in a country I've never been to. I think that's a testament to how well engineered the bike is. We've been on twisty roads for the past hour or so through the foothills, about a couple hours outside of Bologna. Man, what sensational roads here, and the scenery is incredible, these canyons and rivers, and I'm just so impressed with Italy so far. And of course, I kind of knew what to expect with the bike because I already know how good this bike is. I would wish for a little better padding in the seat and a little bit less heat on my legs, but other than those two things, I don't have any real complaints so far. Wow. This is a phenomenal road. All right, we're almost to lunch. A couple updates. Like, we've been riding on these really bumpy roads at really fast pace through the mountains here, and the suspension is just phenomenal on this bike. Like, it deals with everything, it reacts to everything and changes the damping instantly. It's just gives you so much confidence on this really rough, lumpy asphalt to really, we're still hauling through here. The second thing is not a good observation, it's the fuel consumption. So when I tested this bike in the US and we were riding it a little bit more conservatively and doing more, you know, straight roads, I saw a fuel consumption of around 40 or 45 miles per gallon US, which is like, I don't know what, 6 liters or something per 100 kilometer. The fuel consumption on my trip so far today is pretty bad. It's 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers. I think that's like 35 miles a gallon maybe. So if my math is correct, with a 22 liter tank, if you're getting around 8 liters per 100 kilometer, you know, your range is what, about 250 kilometers before you're out of gas? That's about 150 miles. That's not great, is it? And I know a lot of people complain about that with this engine. The thing with this engine is it's really sensitive to the RPM that you ride at. And we've been riding it, you know, above 5,000 RPM most of the time because we're just hauling through the mountains here. But if you cruise more conservative, you know, you're going to get better than that. But again, I wish we had some more fuel capacity, and I wish we had that cylinder deactivation feature. Now that it's been pouring rain here the last 20 minutes since we left the lunch stop. It always rains after lunch, I don't know why. It's a good time to talk about the ride modes on the on this bike. So Ducati gives you 4 riding modes that you can choose from. So the 4 modes you get urban, sport, touring, and enduro. You can see here. Now, the nice thing about the Ducati system is that you can configure each ride mode however you want. So within each ride mode, you can set the engine power, which is actually how much horsepower you have. So you can do reduced horsepower. Like right now, I'm using urban mode in the rain here to get that horsepower reduced, so I don't have any little accidents here. Of course, we do have traction control and ABS keeping us safe, but still, I don't want 170 horsepower in the rain, really. You can set the ABS, or the wheelie control, and the suspension damping settings, and the preload and a quick shifter all within the ride mode. So you can configure that stuff how you want to set up each mode the way you want. So that's a genuinely useful system. And also what I like is the motorcycle remembers the ride mode when you restart the bike. You turn the bike off, have lunch like we just did. The bike's going to restart in the same ride mode that you had it on before. So I do appreciate that. One other thing I learned during lunch from one of the product designers here at Ducati is that the real reason they didn't put the cylinder deactivation motor, the updated motor in this bike, is because, well, the reason they were able to do it in the Rally was because the Rally was a whole new model for them. So they had to go through all the homologation, regulation, all the testing, right, for various countries with that bike. So they were able to update the engine in that bike because it was a new model. But with this bike, because it's basically a V4S with all the accessories, it's not considered a new model. Therefore, it's a tremendous cost savings for Ducati, and time and money savings to not have to re-homologate, retest everything as a new model. So that's why they weren't able to update the engine with the different engine that has the cylinder deactivation. So that was some interesting commentary there. And then at lunch, we were also kind of going back and forth, different people, about the size of the fuel tank. I still maintain that this should have the larger fuel tank. Wrapping up the first ride of the Multistrada V4S Grand Tour. I mean, let's be honest. Basically, they took the V4S and they threw a bunch of stuff at it. And actually, if you're going to buy a Multistrada for road use, this is probably the one you should get, because it's a better value than buying those parts, you know, separately. And I can't imagine too many people not wanting heated grips, heated seat, panniers, fog lights, all that nice stuff. I think you kind of want that if you're buying a Multistrada, but I don't know, that's just my thought. In terms of pricing, they did tell us the pricing at lunch. It was $27,900. I don't remember the base or the price of the V4S, but I'll put that below. But in any case, it's not a huge jump up, and you're getting all that stuff, you know, with the bike. Compared to the Rally, it's about a $2,100 step up to go to the Rally, but then you would still have to buy fog lights and maybe crash. There's a few things like tire pressure monitor, fog lights, a few other things that you'd have to buy to add to the Rally, so it'd probably be more like a $3,000 price difference. So anyway, that's where it occupies in the lineup. Obviously, we already know, we've talked about the downsides. The engine heat, which Ducati knows, they have an issue with that. They freely admit it. Everybody is saying the same thing. These engines run too hot. It heats up your whole lower body. Even the seat gets hot, and it just is unpleasant. That's a real issue I hope that they can think about addressing. And the limited fuel range, I mean, 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers, that's pretty bad fuel economy. So, yeah. They could fix a few things, that'd be perfect, but it's still an amazing, phenomenal motorcycle. One of the best motorcycles in the world for the roads that we're riding. And if you look at the performance, the technology, everything that this thing has, it's phenomenal, and it's a really high quality. So Ducati always does a great job with these bikes, and it was great to be invited out here to Italy. It's cool to see Italy. I really enjoyed it. If you have questions, I know I missed a lot. This is kind of just a first ride, not a full review, but I've already done the full review on the V4S, so I'll link that below. Other than that, ride safe, and I'll see you out there.